Hey everybody, I'm Art Wood, your host of this awesome podcast, Putting the Real in Real Estate, and have a good friend, referral partner, all the things. Blake Glover over here has joined us and cannot thank you enough for being part of this.
Glad to be here.
It's going to be a fun time. This, I think, will end up being podcast number 4. And as I've told everybody before, it's really about just being authentic, transparent, to show the realtors out there that misery loves company. We're all going through this at the same time, even mortgage folks, as well as for the folks that aren't real estate agents. If you're watching this and going, man, I had no idea all this happened. So again, let's just kind of get started and say, who is Blake Glover?
Well, hello, I am Blake Glover, broker, owner of Communities Real Estate and Communities Real Estate School. And I am been in the business since 2009, got in there right at the recession. It was such a
Perfect
great time.
time.
It was perfect timing. Had spent my first part of my adult life in retail corporate.
Okay.
And we're in a recession, and so it was laying off people and, all of that good stuff. And I said, this is a time for me to get into real estate.
Retail, what brands would we know?
Office Depot, Office Max, Staples,
Okay.
all 3 of them. There was a 1-year stint where I went to Old Navy in between, and that was not for me.
Why?
T-shirts having to be folded, and then you fold a table, and then people come in and they just start throwing them, and I'm like, and I was the manager, and so you had to walk around and make sure you...
Well, folding tables, right?
Yeah. Oh, we didn't use folding things anymore. You had to learn how to fold it. Yeah, it was not for me.
Well, you're coming over to my house and teach me how to fold, because
Yeah.
I was in Sam's this past week because they had a great deal on Docker's golf pants or whatever, $20. And they're glamour sized nicely. This has nothing to do with real estate. They're glamour sized nicely. I wear size 38, and I came home, put them on. My wife says, they'll swallow. They did. They fell off. And then I put on 36s, and truly I could go 34s. But anyway, so I went back the next Sunday to return my 38s, get 36s, and it's the business hours, the early hours, and I'm watching some poor lady have to, because they don't hang them, they don't do it. It's just this stacks of clothes, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's awful. Anyway.
You're telling all the secrets, sizes and everything.
I know, and my birthday is, and I am this many years old. All right, so we're in retail. Pandemic hits. I would have thought retail would have been somewhat. I guess nobody's got to expect any money to pay for stuff.
Yeah, no, we were laying people off and condensing positions, and I was in a regional position, and so I was doing a lot of that, and then my role got taken away, so I got into the real estate.
And did you join a team?
So I joined a team right off the bat for the first year, and really learned systems and operations, and how important it was to have a database and have relationships. And I had my first closing in like the first 3 months.
Holy crap!
Yeah, and then started my own team. And
how long did it take you before you started your own team?
A year.
Okay, that's impressive.
And then all this history there as far as like getting into it.
Right. I think when we'd had previous conversations, your family had been in real estate, so you had some knowledge.
My dad was an appraiser, and my mom was in real estate. So I used to have a briefcase. I was a little nerd, and I'd go to the office and sit in the cubicle.
Now he's a big nerd.
I'm a big nerd now. I'd go to the office with my briefcase and had my own little cubicle and would make calls, pretend calls, or go through the MLS and find listings and go on open houses with agents and showings and all that good stuff.
So you were on a team, then you created your own team after the first year, and then what happened from there?
So from there, I went with a company that was big into education and training. And so I got involved in a lot of that because I have always had a passion for teaching and coaching and training. Used to want to be a teacher. So I got involved in all that, which then led me into leadership, which led me into ownership, and started expanding my offices once I was an owner. And then about 2 years ago, went out as an independent broker and not part of a franchise anymore.
I know you, and I know of your story, but it was you just glossed over a whole section or whatever. Go into more detail. What did that look like?
So was part of a franchise where we were in rural market and was asked to expand into markets that were not typically capable of handling a franchise. This particular franchise that would required a lot of agents and a lot of overhead and positions that were required in the franchise, and was asked to create a different model for the franchise that would work in smaller towns.
So you created your team initially under that franchise?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And then you just grew within the franchise?
Within the franchise.
And then that grew to several offices in South Georgia, right? And then at some point you sold them.
Yes.
How long ago was that?
2 years ago, 2.5 years ago.
And then created Communities Real Estate.
Yeah, now we're Communities Real Estate. We've had the school for a long time, Communities Real Estate School. One of my mentors always said, think big. And so when I was thinking big, when I was creating the school name and the property management company name, we thought, oh, Georgia Partners. That'd be a great name. It's big, it's wide, you know. Well, we weren't thinking big enough because then we got licensed in Tennessee and North Carolina and Florida. So we went through a rebrand and we created Communities Real Estate, Communities Property Management, and Communities Real Estate School. And then when we left the franchise, then we just expanded the property management into a full-fledged brokerage.
Interesting. Yeah, because I think you are very unique among the agents that I know. You know, having the school and being a recruiting opportunity, being a training opportunity. There's a servant leadership there. Tell me more about that. Well, I mean, where did that all come? I mean, it had to come from the retail, you know, some of that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I did a stint of my retail career. I was in a position where I coached and trained cashiers and sales staff on selling the warranties that they offer you when you go to Best Buy or those places where they're like, you're buying this printer, would you like to buy the $9.99 warranty? And so part of that was...
Which is 90% profit.
Yeah, so part of that was standing back and listening to cashiers or salespeople and hearing that they didn't ask every time.
Right.
Because they were afraid of the no.
Yep.
And so it was coaching them and helping them understand that you're going to get told 900 times, but you'll get told yes 100 times, and that's a good ratio, right? And so just giving them confidence in making sure that they ask every time, how they asked, the words they used,
right,
and that they're going to get told no a lot, and that's okay, right? But they got to ask every time.
No is a hard word to hear.
Very.
I've been very successful in the mortgage business, but every no still hurts. And I was talking about in a previous episode how bad it hurts when you're on Facebook and you see your friend just did a mortgage or with somebody else or a past client. So those things, that they're hard. But I think the other piece on yours is, you know, it seems like that may be your superpower. Like I'm a terrible coach. That's not fair. It gets when it gets into my job, I'm not a great coach. I'm very busy and self-absorbed, and I got to get this deal done. So it does take a special person to do it. How many agents do you think that you have trained, hired, worked with?
Trained, hired for 1,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is there one?
Part of the thing about agents is they're not always loyal, right? Which there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. But, you know, so what you learn over time is that, you know, you put a lot into them, and that doesn't change how I coach them but you do realize that they're not going to probably be with you forever. Right. And you just have to understand that and be okay with that. Right?
Yeah, because you do spend a lot of time. I mean, to hire somebody new, the training is thousands of dollars, if not that you're necessarily spending thousands of dollars on training, but the time is where it is. So is there a common pitfall that you've seen with agents that you train?
I think for a lot of them, especially newer agents getting in, they don't realize exactly what they're getting into. They don't realize that this is, you know, a job.
A real job.
A real job. How many times I've been told, like, hey, I'm going to have to, you know, can you release my license? I'm going to put it inactive because I've got to go get a real job. Right. And I'm like, wait a minute, you have a real job. I haven't seen you in the office in about a month. You know, how can we help you, you know, to be able to get into this business? And I think when you come from school, teachers are really typically highly successful because they have a structure of creating lesson plans and being waitresses and wait staff, and people from restaurant businesses typically have a good success rate.
You can multitask and retain, and
But those that, think they're going to come in and, they're going to stay in their pajamas till 11 and then they're going to, go get their nails done or go, go golf or whatever the case may be. And then it's just going to come to them. Not
just because you have a business card, people are going to send you business.
Right.
I felt I have and I hope I don't get hate mail from this or whatever, but I have a particular disdain for multi-level marketing companies because they sell it, I believe, as a get-rich-quick thing. And I'm like, hey, it is like anything else. It's a great business opportunity, but it is not a get-rich-quick scheme. And yes, you can take your kids to daycare. You can go get your nails done because you're going to be working all Saturdays. Yeah. What you get, obviously, is not the 9 to 5. So you have some flexibility that some people really relish. They may want to be around their kids, and then they find the times that they can work hard around their kids.
That's, I coach and train on, creating a calendar for the week. Like on Sunday, go ahead and make your calendar for the week. If you know you need 3 appointments this week to hit your goal, go ahead and plug the appointment times in, even if you don't have someone to fill those slots.
Okay.
And then your family knows that, on Tuesday evening, you've got an appointment. Even if you don't have an appointment yet, the goal is to fill someone's name in on that appointment slot. So they know on Wednesday night you're free.
Yep.
Because unless something, sometimes you have to make exceptions or make some adjustments, but go ahead and make your calendar for the week, for the month, and plug in your appointments based off of your goals.
And how many people do you need to talk to set 3 appointments?
Yeah.
How many?
How many people? 30.
Okay. Yeah. I used to know all those sales numbers. If you want, if you want appointments, if you want sales, this.
There's a lot of numbers. I'm kind of guessed at 30 because I think a lot goes into your conversion rate and your scripts and all of that. But there is a number. I should have prepared for that.
It's like 1 to 6 is this one, whatever. It's something.
The number of people in your database will lead to, for every 1,000 people in your database will lead to 4 leads a year. There's some numbers there.
Well, and you can probably answer this. I always say, like, mortgage folks are, if you want to tell them how to be successful, tell them to call 50 real estate agents a day. But I've always said realtors are harder because there's not one set group that needs a realtor. I mean, I guess a relocation, maybe some HR, whatever, but at the end of the day, there's not, just go call 50 CPAs.
Right.
I think what makes being a real estate agent really tough is you just have to know everybody.
You've got to just build relationships and be a part of. What I did was after I left that team that I started, started my own team. Mm-hmm. My kids, I have 3 boys. They are now 26, 24, and 21. They were in elementary school. I loved going to the elementary school and having lunch with them. And one of their teachers asked me to volunteer for this program. I forget what it was called, Proud program or something. And I came to the school once a week on Wednesdays for an hour.
Yep.
And I pulled 4 kids out of the classroom and I did math tutoring with these 4 kids. Oh. So I would do flashcards or I would do whatever. Sure. And then from there, of course, I'd stay and have lunch with my kids. What that did was all of a sudden they were like, hey, could you join the PTO? So I joined PTO, we called it the PTO. And so I joined the PTO.
Yep.
And they're like, you're the first male we've ever had on the PTO.
No way.
We're so excited. And of course that because they wanted, strength for all of the festival stuff and whatever.
You need people to move stuff.
Yes. But what I'll tell agents all the time was that was the best. I did it because I wanted to spend more time with the kids and I wanted to be a teacher, right? Yep. So I loved being at school with children and doing all of that. But what it taught me, or what it gave me an opportunity of, and it wasn't the intent, was it created a ton of relationships. Yep. The parents, the teachers, the administrators, they all knew me, and they all knew I was in real estate. And all of a sudden, things started coming from those relationships.
Right.
I always tell agents, find something you love, go volunteer and do it. You're doing it for the right reason,
yep.
And you're going to build relationships, and the more you do that, and the more things you do that in, the more opportunities that are going to be put in front of you.
And you're not coming across as, hey, I'm a real estate agent.
Right.
I am this parent, I am this volunteer, I'm this participant, whatever. I just happen to do real estate.
Yeah.
And I always tell people too, don't shy away from that, but I always say, don't lead with it.
Right.
So I think in a networking situation or you're meeting somebody new, I'll always ask what they do. first. I want to be the first person because I'm genuinely interested, but I also know they're going to turn around and ask me what I do.
Right. Yeah, you're creating that conversation.
Yeah, so it's easy, and you become top of mind because you're out there, and I'm sure you answered a bajillion real estate questions, from them before you ever sold anything.
Yeah.
So no, I agree with that. I may have mentioned it on this before, but there's a book out there that I've never read. I've just heard about a financial planner that was about to give it up because his sales were terrible. He wasn't cut out for it. And he went to a country club, joined a country club, and went to the driving range every day. And he shook every person's hand on that driving range every day. And within a year, his business had doubled. So then he went and joined another country club and alternated. So went and built that. That's because they love golf. You're in a spot where it's affluent.
And he was doing something he enjoyed. He was out there golfing and doing something he enjoyed. So it wasn't like, that's what's great about real estate is, if you love it and you love showing homes and you love working with people and helping them find, or selling their homes, whatever, and you really enjoy it, then the more you get into relationships and you get to talk about what you love. So like he loved golf, but he also loved financial advisement. And so he got to do best of both worlds.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think, going into your church, we both do networking groups, which are great-ish. But I'd much rather be at my church. I'd rather be at the kids' school. I'd rather be at the country club or what have you. So what would you tell a brand new agent if you had one piece of advice for them? What would it be?
I think what I just said was just find something you love that's going to get you in front of as many people as you can.
Okay.
Do it, like you said, don't be disingenuous about it. Go out there and be genuinely, you want to be a part of this volunteer club or whatever because it's something you're passionate about. But get into as much as you can to build relationships.
Okay.
And get yourself out there in front of people. Like you said, don't lead with, hey. Right. But create those genuine relationships that are going to, in turn, help you to grow your business. It's not fast.
Correct. That's where I was going to get.
It can happen fast in some cases, but it's not something you're going to see overnight results with.
Well, I've had conversations with real estate agents and mortgage folks. The difference between being a leads-based professional and either or referral. And my comment is always leads-based is hard. They're all hard, but leads-based is hard and somewhat temporary because you're not really creating those relationships. You're just dialing for dollars, but it's more immediate.
Yeah. The other thing I would say, there's two other things I would say. One is getting into the business, you need to make money, right?
Yep.
And you've got to be able to sustain your livelihood. Go into the business with at least 6 months in reserves. Make sure you have some money to get started in this business. If you pay for leads, there's nothing wrong with paying for leads, but don't let that be what you depend on for your livelihood, because I have known agents who have spent tons of money on leads and they do it, and that's all they're relying on, and they did it for years, and they never followed up with any of the people they previously sold with or any relationships they previously had. And at one point, that dried up.
Yeah.
That service went out of business, or they changed their platform, or they went up on the cost of it, or whatever the case may be, and all of a sudden they're like, oh my God, like I've got to go find somewhere else to get leads from. Second thing is that your database is one of the most important things.
100%.
That is your only real asset in real estate.
Yep.
And you think about a doctor or an insurance agent. Those are two professions that I see it a lot in. They get ready to retire. The doctor sends out a letter to his patients and says, hey, I'm retiring.
Yep.
And Dr. John is coming in and taking over my practice. Well, what did the doctor actually sell? Yeah, he had some assets as far as, he had some
X-ray machine,
whatever. But really what he sold was those big old file cabinets or, bookcases with all those files, because that was his asset. Insurance agents do the same thing. I was talking to an agent at the CE class we did last week, and he bought an insurance practice, or an insurance business, and he took over all of the...
And he'd been a career real estate agent.
And he had been a career real estate agent. And so have your database, put it in a system, follow up with it, get it, as best as you can and maintain it every day. You should be getting in there and tracking like how many people you added this month.
Right.
I love to run a report to look at how many people did I add my database last month.
Okay.
Right. And did that
you still
number,
do that?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I don't do that anymore. I think I've gotten, fat and lazy, where it's just, I do certain things to try to stay top of mind, but I think I've gotten more selective as well as who I add to my database. And that may not be right or wrong. I mean, every career that you have is going to have different seasons.
Absolutely.
And I was, not that I'm not hungry now. I mean, I'm just as hungry, but I just don't feel like sometimes I have to do certain things, because I think, if I'm hearing you correctly, and just from my business, if you've got that 6 months reserved, you got some money to invest in yourself, do leads, that's fine. And then eventually, let's say your number is, I want to do 15 transactions a year. Well, you could do that on leads, and maybe the next year it's 13 transactions on leads, because you're doing 2 or 3 or 4 more from your database. I think if you want a job, do leads. If you want a career, do referrals.
Absolutely.
So what is the number one thing that you absolutely dislike about the real estate industry? What keeps you up at night? Wait, no, that's just stress. For business owners, that's just stress. What do you hate about real estate?
I think one of the things that kind of makes me hate it, or I don't hate it.
I have gone on record saying I do not love being a mortgage guy. I've gone on record saying that.
There can be drama, right? And as a broker, a lot of my time over the years has been mediating drama, because agents let their emotions get involved in the transaction.
Yep.
And really your role is to advise your client, to defend, to support, to look after your client. But a big part of your role is to get along with the other agent, because you both have the same goal, which is to get the property sold.
Get to the finish line.
Whether you represent the seller or the buyer. And we don't like how the agent texted us back, or we don't like what they said or how they said it. And then we call our client and we're like, oh, this agent is a real pain in the butt or whatever. Right. And then what does that put in your client's mind?
Right.
They're like, oh, well, we made it. Maybe we don't want to take this offer.
Yep.
Well, it has nothing to do with the buyer. It has to do with the personality of the agent that you didn't like.
Right.
Right. So a lot of that kind of stuff that I'm just like, you just have to, sometimes you're going to do more work than the other agent. Sometimes you're going to do less. But at the end of the day, your job is to get your clients what they want.
Well, I think I hear from when I talk to a lot of agents, especially seasoned agents, they do get frustrated when there's a rookie agent or a part-time agent that really know what they're doing on the other side. And they're like, I'm having to do all this work. And you're right, that doesn't really help, because as a real estate agent, more so than the mortgage person, you have to be a mediator, a negotiator, a therapist, a babysitter, name 17 other things. You got to be an inspector. You got to know. It's crazy out there. Yeah. Within context, I said, I don't love what I do because I'm so relational in a transactional business. So I love, the funny thing is me as an extrovert, it's weird that I love to get in and figure out alone. And that's weird, because I should want to be out and about, but I think it is always about winning. I have an incessant need to win. And if I have a situation or something that's beating me, it drives me crazy. Because I can think of, out of 20 years and thousands of loans, I can think of 3 that that didn't close that I said that would, and those still haunt me. To this day.
I think that's one thing. You brought up a point there, which a lot of agents, especially the very productive, successful agents, they are a lot of times extroverts, and they like the relationships, they want to be out there, but they also have this need to be in control of every aspect of the transaction, or to be, every word in the listing has to be just the way,
Right.
And that's where you kind of hit that you kind of hit that ceiling of achievement.
Yep.
You can only do so many transactions because you can't let go of all the stuff.
Yep.
You're great at the relationships. You're doing great at all of that, but you every year you're hitting a certain number and you can't get past that.
Yeah,
and that's where you've got to have great leverage.
Yep.
You have to have great support staff that's going to force you to get away from that stuff.
Right.
That you give permission to say, no, Art, I got it.
Yep.
And
right,
then, and then you coach them to the way you want it, the way you like it.
Right.
And you have high expectations, high standards, but you start to give them the freedom and the authority to take ownership of those roles so that you can go out and spend more time in the relationships.
Or you can spend more time with your family.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, either way, it's like, hey, I'm good at this number. I just want that number to be easier. So I think it can help you do either. And we've gone through some of that. It's like, I don't really know that I want to go do 20 loans a month. I'm good at 8 to 10. And how do we make that better, easier? And a lot of that is team. And I think that's not just transaction coordinators, loan partners. So my team is a processor. I think it's the best in the business, by the way. Jack's my processor, and once we turn it over to him, we know it's just kind of handled and it's going to close. TR is my loan partner, and she does all the things that I'm terrible at, which is, Eddie is my guy in California, my marketing guy. He's the one that's going to edit this out to make it look good. All these things are things I'm really bad at, and you surround yourself. And I think in the real estate industry, in a transaction, it's not uncommon to build your referral team that way.
Absolutely.
It makes your life a lot easier.
Well, and you become one of the other pieces of advice would be to build your referral team, your partners, because in the real estate transaction, I mean, what I train agents is you don't want to just be there for the transaction, you want to be there for them beyond the transaction.
Yep.
Right? You want them to rely on you and call and say, hey, who's a good roofer?
Yep.
I've got it's been 3 years since I bought my house, but the roof is starting to have issues or whatever, and I need a roofer, I need a plumber, I need a HVAC guy. And when you continue to keep those relationships, which means you have to keep your database up, and you maintain those relationships and you show them that you are the go-to guy or girl for all of those referrals and resources, they're going to continue to come to you. Absolutely. And then when the neighbor says, hey, I need a roofer, oh, my agent, I call them. And then next thing you know, you get a call from the neighbor.
Yeah, so it was I don't care what you think about me, just think about me.
Yeah.
And I've become that, and I love that. Everybody's like, Art knows everybody. Do you need a probate attorney? Do you need this? Do you need that? And absolutely. And those are buy signals right there. Like, I instantly thought of Art.
Yeah.
And we spend a lot of time and money to make sure that you are thinking about us often.
Well, and I think too, because you are well known in the community, because you are a part of a lot of networking groups and church and Taste of Tucker and all these different events and things that, like the other day we were like, hey, we need a photographer. And I was like, well, let's text Art.
Yeah.
And so Tracy texted you and said, hey, because we were looking for a photographer.
And she knew the girl that I referred.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's just another example of becoming that resource, right? Being, and especially, in a niche market, like, you don't have to be all things to all people,
Nope.
right? And so when you try to be everything to everybody and, then you spread yourself too thin and so pick a market and really, not to say you won't do other transactions other places, but pick your market and really focus your energy on that market.
Well, Tucker is an easy place for that. I think it's easy to get plugged in, probably more so than what Sandy Springs or whatever.
Yeah,
it's just a big, but here it's so small. 35,000 people or something like that, but it's easy to get plugged in. I know when we get back to the team, the other thing that frustrates me a lot of times is when agents try to be an appraiser, or try to be a lender, or try to be a home inspector. To me, that's why you build your database, or not your database, but your team, your referral team, so you don't have to mess with that stuff.
Right.
Because you've got the seasoned professionals that say, Rick Morse is my home inspector, and when he comes out, he's looked at probably 24 properties for me in 20 years. Like, yep, that's $100 fix, that's fine. That's this is the big deal. And you just know, and you know this from putting on all these CE classes. So just for y'all to know, Blake and I have hosted a few CE classes and plan on continuing to do that. So he's gotten to know a lot of my referral partners.
Yeah.
And that's what I stand up and say a lot of times. I've done the hard work. I've sourced all these people. These are my partners that I trust implicitly.
Right.
And because I did, you can now. And I think for the other thing, when you're a brand new agent, is, you can feel and sound bigger. This is my team.
Yeah.
They don't have to be employees.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, clients want to be able to rely on you as an agent.
Right.
And they want to be able to, feel comfortable that you're going to be able to help them through the whole process. Agents sometimes forget a lot of the buyers and sellers don't have a clue, right? And so you're using these terms and these words like they know your language. Right. And so they want to be able for you to say, hey, I've got an inspector for you. Here's a couple for you to choose from. Or, hey, I've got a lender. Or, hey, I've got a...
I don't like that couple to choose from.
I know.
That's my pet peeve with agents.
So as a broker, I always think liability.
Right.
And, so, yeah.
I know.
Not as much as on the lender side as I do on inspectors.
He's backpedaling.
Not as much on the lender part, but on inspectors and things, there's, liability stuff. But I've seen the worst of the worst, I feel. And so I always go, what could we have done differently in that situation?
Well, and when you get referrals who are directly, it's a reflection of the referring partner. And so if that's a CPA that you want to do a damn good job, because that person, and now if you don't, then they're going to go back and go, God, why'd you refer him? He was terrible. Right. So, we have a tough one right now where multi-year, transaction client and her relative is being difficult. And it's not us. We're trying everything that we can. And I called her. I was like, look, we're trying. She's like, we're good. I understand. But again, I'm protecting that relationship because that's important. And because, again, I want everybody to love me, both my superpower and my kryptonite. And so I was like, I want to get the deal done, but I want him to love me. Gosh darn it, I want everybody to love me.
Yeah, that can be good and bad.
Awful.
Yeah.
It's great, and it's awful at
the
same time. So I have not, we'll wrap it up, but I have not asked you what Blake is outside of real estate, family, kids, what do you do outside? Tell me the more exciting stuff than real estate.
It's the boring stuff. So I live in Smoke Rise for about 3 years now. I have a partner, Jason, and 3 kids, right. Zach, Caleb, and Noah. And what do we do for fun?
You go to Moonshadow.
We go to Moonshadow, Shorty's, or Los Hermanos. Those are about the 3 places. We eat about 5:30, and we're in bed by 9. Yeah, that's the...
You are the youngest old couple I've ever seen in my entire life.
After 8:30, it's really starting to go downhill.
So if y'all saw the intro to these podcasts, it's got, and the guitars and stuff, I'm a closet, maybe not so closet, rock and roll star. Rock and roll star, yeah, rock star. Anyway, so I invite Blake to come to see my show at Moonshadow, and I don't think you actually made it to the first song, did you?
I did.
No, he was there. He paid $20 at the door, he and Jason, and they're like, it's 9 o'clock, I gotta go.
Yeah, like you have a DJ for the first hour, and I didn't realize that. And so I'm like, okay, we could stay till 9. And so at 8 o'clock, the music starts, and I'm like, wait a minute. So I walk up to Art, and he's like, well, we don't start playing till 9. And I'm like, oh. Go back to the table, and I'm like, 2 drinks in, 3 drinks in. I'm like, we're not going to make it.
That's hilarious.
We supported. He saw my face. Maybe he won't realize I've left.
I did, and I got your ticket. So that was good. So anyway, well, I really appreciate you being part of this. Yeah. It's
love it.
These first several that we're going to do. I've been in the business 20 years. So I get to bring in my friends that I love and respect and do business with. It makes it easy to sit here and chat. So it will be interesting probably in year number 2 how I start for these.
You're going to be like, can you come back? Or just start doing replays.
Well,
or change it up a little bit.
I was we'll figure that out.
Yeah.
We've got a long time.
Time to go.
Maybe we'll do a podcast at the next 90 show.
Yeah.
No, it's funny. Matthew's right down the street. They did the diners, drive-in, whatever, with Guy Fieri, and they did it, 10 years prior. And they came back maybe 2019 and wanted to do a 10-year redo. And I was a movie star on that. I was in there for like 4 seconds. I was in it for 4.
You were an extra. That's what we call an extra.
I had line. I had a line in it. I was like, just like Mama used to make. Actually, and I digress. So if you want to hear more about real estate, just that'll be the next podcast. But I get there and they're like, well, what's your favorite dish here? I said, well, I really love the Brunswick stew. Put it over rice. It's great. Blah blah blah. She goes, that's great. But we're focusing on the chicken pot pie today. So can you say chicken pot pie? Yes, I can. So I get in the line. And I don't know what comes out of my mouth, but like, what do you have? And I was like, I'll have the chicken pot pie, just like Mom used to make. Oh, it's terrible. And then they sit me down to eat, and I have to go. I pick up my green beans, hold it, now eat. And I had to script it.
Oh, wow.
It's terrible. So anyway, thank you again. And
Absolutely.
Appreciate
Glad to be here and glad to have the conversation. And
we do it often. He is literally 2 blocks down the street. We haven't done enough. Been busy, which is a good thing.
I know it's like you're right up the street, and I'm like, God, I hadn't seen him in like a month.
I know. All right. Well, we'll do better. We'll do better, but not this week because I'm too busy.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all for watching, Putting the Real in Real Estate, and we will be back again in a couple of weeks. And thank you for watching.
Have a good one.